The WRT 3200 ACM, a new wireless router from Linksys that is not only super fast, but also gives you exclusive access to previously unused frequencies that most people only dream about. Okay, most people probably don't dream about it. In fact, I didn't even know this was a thing until now. In case you haven't seen it, not too long ago, I purchased and reviewed the Linksys WRT 1900 ACS router. I was thoroughly impressed by the device, and you can check out all the good things I had to say about it right here in this video. As for the 3200 ACM, however, Linksys was kind enough to provide me with a unit for testing and review. So no, I didn't just decide to go out and upgrade my router. My 1900 ACS is not that outdated yet. But who doesn't like upgrades? I mean, I know I do, even sometimes when I don't technically need them. Before I dive into some of the new features of the 3200, I want to go ahead and cover those pesky old boring specs. The 3200 ACM comes packed with 512 megabytes of RAM, 256 megabytes of flash memory, and a dual-core 1.8 gigahertz processor. It supports mu-mimo, has 4 network ports, and is compatible with open-source software like WRT. Now, for a router that has no intentions of running any kind of resource-heavy applications, those are actually some pretty good specs. So good, in fact, that unfortunately, I don't really have any way to find its limit. To give you an idea, though, right now I have about 9 devices connected to my network at all times. And even if I'm downloading a lot of files, moving multiple files to multiple different locations on my home network, streaming video off my server, and storing stuff to the external drive that's connected to the router, I never notice any kind of lag. Now, the same can be said for my 1900 ACS router, so really at this point, performance just isn't an issue. However, wired performance in a wireless world is kind of a dull topic, so that's why the 3200 ACM stands apart from the crowd of options available today. Kinda. The selling point here is that the 3200 offers 160 megahertz tri-band frequencies, which on paper can give you a top-end speed of 2.6 gigabits per second spread across 3 different streams. The only real limitation here is that the availability of 160 megahertz capable clients on the market. So while it does technically reach higher frequencies, you may not be using them for a while. To reach 160 MHz, the router uses DFS, or Dynamic Frequency Selection, which not only gives you the faster option of 160 MHz, but it also triples the available channels being used at 80 MHz. Or to put it more simply, it gives you VIP access to extra lanes of highway that most other people can't even see. As you can imagine, this can be really useful in densely populated areas like apartments or major cities. Another advantage, though, is the router support for mu-mimo, which means multiple users, multiple inputs, multiple outputs. And exactly how that sounds, it actually enables your router to talk with up to 3 different clients at the same time, giving them their own dedicated stream. And if that confuses you a little bit because you know you have always been able to connect 3 devices or more to wireless routers before, I completely understand. The fastest way for me to explain this is that routers without this technology are still fully capable of connecting and talking with multiple clients at the same time. At least that's how they seem under light loads. In reality, they are transferring data to and from one device at a time, but they do it so quickly that you usually don't notice that you had to wait for the other devices to get their data before you. However, under heavy load, this really starts to create a lot of issues because one or more devices can demand more airtime than the others and force them to wait. And that is where mu-mimo comes to save the day. Alright, so I talked about the cool new stuff included in the model because really most of the other stuff is fairly similar to the 1900 ACS. Even in my testing, I was showing similar results in signal strength at the furthest points in my house. So it's safe to say that the 3200 ACM is a solid performing wireless router. It has all the great features of the 1900 with a few extra. The only drawback I can see is that the 3200 is ahead of its time, meaning that true 160 MHz client support is limited, so most people will be sticking with the older frequencies. However, with the multi-user support and having an additional 80 MHz channels to work with, it does seem to be a great option for a busy home in a big city. At the time of this video, this was retailing for $250, which to me seems a little bit high for an average user who might not need very much horsepower behind their network. I mean, yeah, it's going to get the job done, but if you have a 5 meg internet package and only 2 devices on your network, this thing is going to be complete overkill. So I would definitely look at your needs at home and decide if you have any bottlenecks from your current setup before you do your upgrade. With that said, as a side note, upgrading from the 1900 to the 3200 was just plain stupid easy. I mean, I've always made big jumps when upgrading routers because I've always waited so long to do it. The hardware and software is always so different, I had to go through all this setup process again just to get my network set up the way that I like it. As it turns out though, that when you stick with similar Linksys routers, it allows you to download all of your settings, hook up the new router, and carry all of those preferences over by uploading them via the web interface. So bravo to Linksys for making that super easy. I only wonder how many other routers of theirs can save settings like this to be accepted in newer models, or how far back you can go. In conclusion, the WRT 3200 ACM truly is the bigger brother to the 1900 ACS. While holding all of the same features as its little brother, it offers more speed, more channels, and more ability in handling wireless users. You just have to ask yourself, how much router do you really need? Well, that's it for today, folks. Like and subscribe below, and have a good day.